Hello everyone and welcome back to the Odious Soul. My name is Shannon and in this video I'm going to show you how easy it is to make bean sprouts, or in this case broccoli sprouts. So growing up, my mom had always gone on different diets, and so I was introduced to sprouts. You know, you go to the grocery store, they're in like a little container, and they're basically just seed sprouts that you can throw on salads and sandwiches, and they were always a nice delight. But the problem is they don't last very long. So you have to get a little small amount, you have to pay for them, and then, you know, if you don't use them within a week, they're usually like nasty and rotten and kind of start smelling bad after a while. So last year, at the end of the summer, beginning of the fall sometime, I came across in the Burpee catalog sprout seeds. And I was like, let me try this. So I got them again late last summer, early fall. I tried to do some research to figure out how to actually sprout these seeds. And I really could not find a method that I liked. And so I just didn't try them. I put them up on a shelf, which was stupid because heat rises and I should have put them down on a shelf. But anyway, and so finally I was like, you know what? I still haven't done anything with these broccoli seeds, and it's a big package. And I was like, let me start Googling again. And so I found this one video where it used a mason jar. Well, I have some mason jars and I decided to give it a try. So as you can see here, I'm starting off with a mason jar that's filled about halfway up with filtered water. I'm starting off with a 2-layered piece of cheesecloth, a metal ring for the mason jar, and then here is my sprout seed with broccoli. It's 4 ounces, pretty heavy packet, lots of seeds in there. I'm going to start off by soaking 2 tablespoons of this broccoli seed in this water for 8 hours. Okay, so that's the first step. Filtered water, mason jar, put 2 tablespoons in there. I'm putting the cheesecloth on, and then I'm using the metal ring. Now I started off with a double layer of the cheesecloth. Just an FYI, I ended up only going with a single layer a couple days in because I couldn't take it on and off, and it was getting harder to filter. So the next step is, once you got the seeds in there, you got the cheesecloth on, you got the lid in, you're going to put it in it doesn't really matter like the first 8 hours, but you're just like, I put it in a semi-dark room, semi-dark space. I set a timer on my phone so I wouldn't forget because that's a habit of mine. And just let them soak for 8 hours. Once the 8 hours is over, you're going to drain the water out of it completely. And then you're going to need to sit it in something to keep it, the back end, like the bottom of it, elevated, and the lid, like that open cheesecloth area, down on the bottom. All right, so that way the water doesn't sit on the bottom, because this is one of the biggest things with when you do sprouts, is they are prone to mold, mildew, rot. So you don't want them sitting in water. So if you have the mason jar, lid here, bottom here, and you have it this way, then the water has the opportunity to soak out. Okay, so I just use a glass Pyrex, one that fit it perfectly. I had to try a couple different sizes before I found one. And then I just use little plastic cups to elevate the end. So literally just look around your kitchen. I'm sure you can find either a glass Pyrex or some kind of Tupperware container or a bowl or something that will work for you. All right, so once you have it set up in your dish and you're good to go, I want you to store it in a dark cabinet someplace. Someplace that doesn't get too hot, doesn't get too cold, just a room temperature place in your house that's dark. And then forget about it until either that evening or the next morning. So, very important, you need to rinse out this container twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening. Just make it part of your breakfast or coffee routine, and then make it part of your dinner routine. Or like you're going to bed, like you go to bed, brush your teeth, and while you're brushing your teeth, you're also filling this up and draining it out. So, you know, fill it up, swish it around, and then drain it back out, and do this every day for 7 days. And as you can see here, I will show you the time, I will not time lapse, but I will show you what like the differences are from like day 1 to day 7. All right, so here we are, day 7. These bad boys are ready for consumption. Look at them. Look at how amazing they look. All right, so now what? The first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to rinse them off one last time, and then you're going to prepare them for storage. So here I'm using a towel on the countertop, and then I'm putting a paper towel on top of it. And then I'm going to spread out all of these sprouts along the paper towel. Okay, get it good in coverage. Try to get them as loose as possible. Just try to, try to really kind of get them as flat as I possibly can. Once that happens and I get them all good and laid out, I'm just going to kind of go back and forth with them. Like you can see what I'm doing here. I'm kind of just, moving the edges of the paper towel up and down, back and forth. And it's going to separate the seeds that really didn't germinate with, the sprouts themselves. And then I'm going to place them on a new fresh paper towel. And then I'm going to cover them with another paper towel and just very gently press down to try to remove some moisture. Now, another option for this is using a salad spinner. I don't own a salad spinner, and I'm not going to buy them just for my sprouts. So you can definitely buy a salad spinner. If you have one, you can use one, and this will help get the extra moisture and also those extra seeds out of your sprouts. There are a couple lessons I've learned along the way. Now, until you get in the habit of remembering to do it every morning and every night, the checking on them, rinsing them out, process, draining them, you might want to set a reminder or a timer just to remind you to do it. There was a couple days, like there was one day, I think one of those days I had midday. It's because I forgot the morning and I did it at lunchtime instead. There was one night where we went out late. We actually went out and did something in public. We had dinner at a cool little Viking village. And that night when I got back, I totally forgot to do it. So just set reminders, set timers, you know, put in post-it notes if you have to, just so you don't forget to do that part. So another thing that I learned is the cheesecloth may not work for you. Okay, so I first started with the cheesecloth in 2 different layers. Well, obviously my cheesecloth ended up being a little rusty looking after, you know, a few days, just because metal ring was not stainless, and you know, but it worked. It worked for my first batch. So as soon as this batch was over, I started a second batch of seeds. And well, let's see here, day 2, when I went to look at them and do the morning ritual of rinse, guess what I found? I found that something had chewed holes in my cheesecloth. So cheesecloth is not the most optimal thing, but it does work. And I mean, I have 3 cats in my house. There is no reason why I should have a mouse or a rodent in my house trying to get to these seeds. I'll punish the cats later for that. But if you go on Amazon, you can find stainless steel wire mesh kind of things that you can use instead. So you don't have to use a cheesecloth. You can use the wire mesh. And I myself will be buying one and will be using that for future sprouting endeavors. Okay. Another thing I did not show in the video is how I stored them. So I have round Pyrex glass containers, and I put a paper towel on the bottom of the glass, and then I put my sprouts on top of that, so that way the paper towel can absorb any extra moisture, because as a reminder, you do not want these sitting in water at any time except for that first 8 hours. Otherwise, you do not want them sitting in water. So that's how I store them. And when you're drying them out, even after you press on it with the paper towel, let it sit for at least an hour. If it's a high moisture day outside, maybe, you know, do the paper towel pressing thing after an hour and then let it sit for another hour. But you don't want to put them in storage in your refrigerator, and you do want to keep them refrigerated. You don't want to keep them in storage in your fridge if they're still wet. You really want them to, you know, kind of dry out a bit. So sprouts are so nutritious. Those seeds hold so much nutritional value for us in there. There's so much good stuff that you can't get except in that little seed form. So when that plant sprouts, it's still feeding off that seed. So that seed still has all that nutrition. So you're getting more nutrition than you would out of like the full-size broccoli plant. It's really, really good for you. So if you're on a diet, if you're on some kind of exercise or wellness plan, sprouts are so amazing and good for you. And as you can see, it's pretty easy to grow them, you know, and you can do it in your house, and all you need is seeds, a ball jar. I mean, you can do it with very, very basic skills and supplies, which is, to me, super rewarding. And it was so much fun to go to that cabinet every morning and see like how much bigger they got, and the last day how puffy that whole jar was. I will note that I had a very low germination rate. Okay, I don't want to say a very low, but I had a fairly lower germination rate than expected, and that is no reflection on Burpee. Like I said, when I got the packet, I had originally thought that I would do something with them very quickly, so I sat them up on a shelf in my kitchen. Well, it's also a place that gets a lot of heat from our wood stove, and it's definitely not the place that you should be storing seeds in. I stored them there anyway, and so I know my lower germination rate on this was probably due to my fault, my poor storage choice, you know. So I'm putting the blame on me, because normally I have tremendous germination rates with Burpee. So please don't let that be a reflection on them. Blame me for my stupidity. But so I have used these in so many wonderful ways, and I'm going to show you a picture of my favorite way to eat these. Okay, you take a nice Italian bread, toast it in the toaster oven, spread it with like a kind of like some kind of cheese, like a spreadable cheese. This is like a spreadable cheese with like herbs and dill and stuff in it. And then I put prosciutto on top of that, and then the sprouts on top. And so good. Now, if you want a keto version of this, not a problem. Just take some romaine lettuce. Put your spreadable cheese inside the romaine lettuce. Put the prosciutto on top of that with the bean sprouts, or excuse me, the broccoli sprouts on top of that. You can even roll it up, or you can just eat it like that little taco style you just created. So I hope you understand how to grow your own sprouts at home. And I hope you feel comfortable doing it. I know people have a fear. I had a fear for months, but let me tell you, this method is so easy, and I'm definitely going to do it again as soon as I get that stainless steel screen in from Amazon. So I can't wait. If you have any questions about this process, or if you would like to share your own sprouting, hits and misses, please leave me a comment. I would love to hear them. Thanks again for watching, as always. And if you aren't a subscriber, you really should be. Thanks, take care, and have a great day.